Hi everyone, just checking if you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Welcome.
Awesome, awesome, thank you.
Yes, we
Um, can I go ahead or should I wait for a few people to join? I see people still joining.
Yes, please, can you unmute? I just had to mute all and yes, thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, I see we have 30 people. Should we wait for a few more people or should we just go ahead?
We can get started because the countdown has started.
Right. Awesome. Okay, we'll do. I just share what my name. I mean, you know my name. My name is Edison. It's nice to meet you. That's Tommy, all right?
Yes, yes, please, yes. And yes, I'll
Awesome. Nice to
be
meet you.
moderating, yes.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Great to know. I'm just gonna share my just I'm getting myself around this whole thing. Share screen.
Okay, perfect. Yes, we can see your screen.
Awesome. So hi guys, hi everyone. My name is Edison. I'm Nigerian, but I live in Ghana. I've been to a couple of countries. My focus area is funding investments and stuff for businesses generally. I used to be founding director for Founder Institute. It's one of the largest pre-seed accelerator in the world. It's based off of Silicon Valley. And I was director in that for 2 years. My passion is to see people, build and start businesses, but profitable businesses. And I'm a bit biased to Africa to make sure that we have a lot of successful businesses in Africa. And so this topic is very, very dear to my heart. So Who Moved My Cash is coming from the idea of Who Moved My Cheese. I don't know if you've read the book or you've seen the book. It's a very exciting book. And today we're going to be talking about creating a working cash injection and management system for teachers, or my teachers, I meant to say, in schools. The idea of adding teachers in schools was, yeah, you could be in a school, but you're also a teacher that needs to also understand your own personal finances. So I'll just go through yep, the flow, if you can see that. So there's going to be a general flow. We'll talk with each other. Sorry, I'm not doing all the talking. Sorry about that. We'll be, because I feel like I get value when we have a conversation. I feel like there's a lot of, I just feel like sometimes we're used to just being talked to, and we get more value when we're able to, um, you know, talk amongst each other. First, we'll do like an icebreaker, getting to know your current state. And so, a few people in the room, if you want to just share, this is an opportunity for me to kind of tailor what I'm going to say based on what I'm hearing. Because I think this is going to be a live and living documentation where based on what I'm hearing and the kind of states you are in, we can do that. The second session will be a presentation for 15 to 20 minutes where I'll just set a tone based on what I've already heard. And the third one will be a deep dive together as we draw a collaborative solution to cash flow in school management system. So that's kind of like what we'll be looking at. So for the icebreaker, this is what to put in mind. You're going to take 1 to 2 minutes and enter one thing, maybe in the chat, or if you want to voice it out, so that's fine, that is currently working well for you. What I mean is, when you look at your either your school financing or your personal financing or your personal, cash flow system, what is working here for you? What I mean by cash flow is cash coming in and cash going out, right? What is working well for you? Second point is one key challenge you face around your personal finances or school finances into the chat, or you can also just, and then I'm sure the moderator will help with that. And then feel free to chime in and reply to each other's points as well. Because trust me, I mean, the kind of school system I went to, so I went to school in America, I'm used to, and it just brings a lot of value when people are able to have conversations, where it's not just one person just doing all the talking, and we're able to kind of just spark some conversation. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through that. I guess it take 1 to 2 minutes and enter one thing that's currently working well for you. One key challenge you face around your personal finances, school finances, you can add it to the chat or you can maybe raise your hand to speak. And feel free to chime in and reply to each other's points as well. If
All
that's
right.
clear. So if you're here,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, great. So if you want to respond, you can either type in the chat box or just raise your hand and I'll ask you to unmute. Okay, so let's see the hands, people.
Hands, guys. That's how we know you're here.
So someone says, for me, it has been setting an income target at the beginning of the year and working towards
it. That's an interesting point. Setting an income target at the beginning of the year and working towards it. We'll get into that as well. For this person, do you set a target and you're able to meet it every time? I mean, for me, it's been. Oh, can you hear me? Is that me? Can you hear me well though?
So I can. So maybe yes, I can. I can just go.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So, for me, I can see someone saying setting daily targets, setting an income target at the beginning of the year. And somebody says adequate monthly, starting a new venture and funding the startup. My voice is echoing.
Yes. Okay. Ianu says the money is coming, number one, and number two, but things are getting really expensive and it's eating up the money. Yes. Ziba says inflows are
Sorry, I have to disturb this session. I have to disturb this session. I hear my brother, first of all.
How's it going?
Okay, bye.
Okay. I'll just go on. If do you need me to continue reading them?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to check. Somebody said I'm echoing, so I just want to be sure that it's not me. Can you hear me clear or am I echoing? Just to be sure. Some people said I'm echoing.
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Just a slight echo, Tomiwa. Just a slight one.
Okay. It says I'm echoing. Okay, 1 second. Give me 30 seconds to fix that. It's probably not. So I just want to try to fix that. Give me 30 seconds.
Okay.
Hello, still echoing? Just checking.
Yeah, but I think yes, I think we can. I think it's something we can work with. Can you just speak again? So
okay, check. 1, 2, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. It's better. Yes, I think it's an echo that we can work with. We can just ignore and move on.
Cool. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's just go back to sharing screen. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. It's important for me that we do this, so just to kind of understand. My challenge is knowing how to accurately prepare school budgets. We'll get to that. I like that you have that as a challenge because it's one of the things we're going to talk about. I have a question. How do you know exactly what, at least for me, sometimes when I set a target, I don't meet that target, right? How do you know that the target you set makes sense? That you're not over optimistic. If anybody wants to answer that question in the chat as well, that would be great. How do you know to set the right target? Because in the past, I used to have that as a challenge where I set a target and it's just very difficult to know what to do. Okay, someone says sounds better. So how do you know how to set the right target? Because we can set a target to have a New Year resolution and nothing happens. That's a reality, right? How do you know to do that? And once you answer that, we can move to the meat of this conversation. Hey, people are smart. Someone says based on cost and past data of marketing outcomes. Then why do you need me here? You don't need me to talk. I'm joking. So that's really true. When you use data, you're able to like ascertain exactly how to project for the next year. So it's not optimism in isolation, but don't be handicapped by your past though. That's what problem I had. I remember I used to have a budget, or I used to look at my past data to project forward. What I found is that my mind biggest problem. It wasn't even the data I had doesn't have to necessarily be the income I'm going to make in the future, right? Which was one problem I had, and I wasn't able to work with, and I had to break that. So awesome. That's been an interesting. So the first thing we're going to talk about is school budgets. I think that's the starting point for school and personal budget. This is for everybody from you don't even just have to be managing a school. You can be a teacher in a school, or just even a regular business person. And having a budget as basic money, but I was spending all the money. I was literally like I didn't even know how much I was making because I just kept spending the money. Eventually, I realized that shit, you know, I need to be able to account for it. And when I started to budget, I realized that I was spending too much money on subscriptions. From Netflix to Hulu. Like I was doing a lot of entertainment subscriptions, and some of them I was even watching them, like Hulu. I was doing HBO, and I wasn't watching them, so I had to take an account of it. Eliminate any unnecessary expenses, right? It will shock you that when you start to look at your school financing and your personal financing, you start to understand that, oh, there's some expenses that we're making that are not necessary. Um, Also, review your finance monthly. Be at the top of the game, right? Review your finance monthly. And the final one is my biggest one, actually. Play Monopoly. Who plays Monopoly here? Please show by hands or in the comments. Anyway, who plays Monopoly here? And I want to hear someone tell me what that does to them if you play Monopoly or if you know the game Monopoly. Who plays Monopoly? I want to see. Chat. I do. Oh, please tell me, what does that do to you? What does that, when you play Monopoly, what does that do to you? I actually want to hear you speak. What does that do to you? Okay, for those that say they like playing Monopoly, if you can speak, what does Monopoly do to you? If not, you can just type as well. Oh wow, great. I tried to buy properties with my money. Monopoly is there's another game called the Rich Dad Quadrant. It's kind of close to Monopoly. Yeah, someone's raising their hand, I think. But if you can, Monopoly is really big, so I need to hear people speak. This is like big deal for me.
Yes, Daniel, you can go on. Hi, Daniel.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. I was saying that one of the things I like about Monopoly is the fact that it makes me think very strategically about money. And I wish I could kind of transfer that mind frame from when I'm playing the game to real life.
I know, right? Honestly, I became a very the challenge is to think that it's just a game, right? The challenge is for us to think we're just playing a game. But if we're able to translate, I spend a lot of time on this because I feel like that's a big deal. If we're able to translate the game and how we're able to play in that scenario into real life, we're able to see how to play the long game, right? For instance, you know that when you're budgeting, you know that for you to buy houses and buy hotels in Monopoly, you need to you need to play the game, right? You need to buy houses and buy hotel. You need to be strategic, and you don't just buy any house, right? You buy specific properties because you know that the rents will be high, and you know that when people pass through that, they're able to pay you, and that for me is, and people know this. There's a school in Germany. They teach people the kids, right? All the kids in that school, they don't have a physical classroom till like 12 p.m. What they do is that all the kids are playing sports. They all play sports, like literally from swimming. That's how they learn maths, then sciences, learn agriculture, learn physics. There's no talking. There's literally go and play a game. And these are kids. These are like, if you go to some of the schools in Germany, really exciting. These are kids that are maybe between 4 to 9 year olds. They show them how to. They do everything by themselves, and it's fun, right? They're playing games, but they're also learning uh, how to calculate. For instance, maths, like 2 plus 2 equals 4. They use games to show them, right? And that's the beauty of games that if you don't take anything from this session, is the idea that sometimes the things that we consider as what we need to learn are not the things we need to learn. Like for instance, financial management and cash flow. You think it's about getting and be a certified financial analyst. That's great. But if you want to learn how to manage your personal finances, it can be as simple as just playing a game, as an example, for you to be able to do that. Somebody else also says that you think of the options and the reason why you're buying the estates. What are the returns on investment if I buy that particular spot? Exactly. That's how we need to manage even school cash flow statement or school management system. Someone said for exponential increments on returns. Well, Ludo, oh my God. I'm not a big fan of Ludo, but I know like I play Ludo, but I just feel like I have to throw the die a lot of times to get six. It frustrates me, but I can see what you're saying. Ludo is the person I say Ludo. Can you explain what you get from it? Like, what does it do to you? I get that because you buy houses and stuff like that as well. I just am not a big fan, but I play Ludo too. But yeah, chess as well. Chess will teach you a lot about. Some people don't like chess, but it's my all-time favorite. So chess and then Monopoly. Chess teaches you about strategy, so it might not be necessarily financing, but it teaches you how to push forward. Um, it teaches you how to think 2 steps ahead, right? So you think about what your opponents are going to do, and then you take a step ahead, right? Just to review this again, like I said, school budget is the starting point, or your personal budget is the starting point. And I'm not just talking budget as in what you're going to spend, but budget for the future of the things you're going to spend. So for instance, you want to buy a house 5 years from now, right? You can budget for it. What I mean by that is you can think if you have a school, right, and the school is maybe making, I'm using dollars because I'm assuming there may be a few maybe African countries that might be listening to. Let's say the school, right now you make maybe $10,000 a year, but you can do a budget in the anticipating for the future, right? And say a projection is more called a projection, right? And you say, okay, 3 years from now, I want my budget to be $500,000. What do I need to be able to make that happen, right? So it is very long term in how you're thinking. So you can do it because I feel like some people are trapped by their budgets now that they live a mediocre life, right? You're trapped by what you make. What if you can make way more than that? What if you can diversify cash flow? And I'll share one tip before we continue. Don't limit yourself to, if you're a teacher, right? Don't just limit yourself. I'm teaching. Your teaching means you are sharing content. And you can do that so many ways. So you're teaching in a classroom. How can you duplicate that from just not being in a classroom? Oh, noisy. The
So
audio is not clear.
it's clear enough to hear, but it's possible that the network connection of certain participants is also interfering. So yes,
Okay.
clear enough to hear. Just please go on. Thank you.
Okay. Like someone say something? No. The idea of managing cash flow sometimes traps us in, or managing your budget traps us in thinking that we need to think about now and just now, right? And when we do that, we forget about what we can become in the future. So yes, please think budget and think now, but also start thinking long-term financial plan, long-term direction, because otherwise would be your school would always be trapped in the now. Your school will always be trapped in now. You don't want that. So how do you prepare an accurate school budget, right? How do you prepare an actual? I saw someone said that was a problem, right? For them, how do you prepare an actual school budget? For some people, can you share what you already do before I go through this? What do you do? How do you prepare an actual school budget? You can either raise your hand or just type it in the chat. How do you prepare an actual school budget? So feel free to.
Go on, Ziba.
Okay, hi. So for us in my school, what we do is we use a requisition form for every request per term, per class per term, and then we at the end of the term gather the cost that's been incurred per class, and then we just roll it up across the school. And then when we're budgeting, when we're doing the budget for the next term or next session, we just mirror the actual expenses for the budget for the coming term versus what everybody has said they need for the next term. For this session, we have had to put like a percentage just to capture inflation costs, because planning has become a little bit more difficult. So that's basically how we do it.
Awesome. I have a question for you before you run away. Have you done like a budget for or projection for like the next 5 years? How do you see in the next 5 years? How do you see? What do you think your budget will look like in terms of percentage?
In terms of percentage, right now I can't say, but so we do have this spreadsheet where we basically just escalated everything. I think it was by 7% every year on year, but it honestly is no longer realistic.
Awesome. Yeah, someone's saying I have a problem preparing a budget. Great, and thank you for sharing. You see, the thing is, in the business world, right? Every business plan has projections and it never comes to fruition. That's the reality, right? Have you ever seen a business plan where somebody said that we will lose money? Just you can chat, you can put it in the chat if you've ever seen a business plan where the business plan somebody said this business plan we will lose money. You hardly find. Do you know why? Because we always think in the I don't explain. It's not the reality. We think, oh, if we start this business, it will be this in the next 3 5 years, right? And then when reality hits, you realize that even what you budgeted for, you're not really making that kind of investment. But the problem is not your budgeting. The problem is what it would take to get to that projection, right? It's being not over. It's being underestimated. So the problem is not the budget. The problem is what or the projection or the financial projection. The problem is not the financial projection. The problem is what it would take to make that happen. Think productivity is the same thing. We can say, oh, our school can be the best school in Nigeria or in Ghana or in Kenya in the next 10 years. It is possible to say that. But you can't just say it and sit down. You need to take action. Same thing for your finance. You can say, in the next 5 years, we should have increased our finances by fivefold, so maybe 500%. It's possible to say that. But you can't say it and leave it at just saying it. You got to do something about it, right? And so to prepare an actual school budget, I'll just go through that quickly. First step is to show me the money. I call that show me the money. So you're gathering details on expected costs and revenues, right? So expected costs and revenues, enrollment trends, staff needs, facility expenses, instructional resources. So whatever it's going to take, like, so what you do is to first gather details. Don't go straight into budgeting. Gather details, right? On the cost that is being expected. The problem is if you miss this one, you miss everything because you'll be budgeting on assumption. You'll be budgeting on emotions and not reality. So expected cost and revenue. And revenue is not dreamland. It's you have data, you know what input you have to put to get the output that you want. An example, your school can only accommodate 200 people, but then your budget, you are thinking of revenue that will take 500 people, as an example, right? Now, that's unrealistic because you are thinking on emotions or not the reality of the school at that moment. The second point is money for scholars. Connect budget spends directly to the goals. I'll explain that in a bit. To student achievement goals, school improvement plan, and educational vision. Why this is important is that so basically what you're doing here is you're looking at, we prepare budgets based on the school needs without necessarily thinking about the needs of the student. I've seen this being done I use Germany as a lot of examples because, I mean, I won't use America because I don't think they have, when it comes to school system, I think Sweden, Germany, and I mean, you probably know better. But what I found is that when they were, this particular school in Germany, one of the things they were doing was to understand what they want the students to accomplish. And then they started to draft a budget to connect to that. For instance, do we get additional, um, you know, audiovisual equipment for students? Do we get extra books for students? So it was dovetailing towards what the students would achieve. Also, be ready for the unexpected. I mean, you guys probably know that better than me, right? Things that will just come, regulation, leaky roof, light is not working, and not necessarily miscellaneous, but very unexpected. So there's a budget for that. This part is very important as well. Follow the money trail. Like, where is the money going? Study spending history and pattern, and hunt for a way to reduce costs. I'll give you a typical example of how you can reduce costs. Very practical one. This is free. This is more than $100, so please listen. There's a group called F6S. I just need to be sure that's what they're called, right? That's what they're called. I just type in the chat. Or FX6, if I'm not getting that right. So I don't remember. One of them. You can get, if you are looking for a project management tool, you don't have to go and pay Monday.com or any of those people. You can get a free Asana. Asana is one of the best in the world. And you can get Asana Project Management Premium free for 6 months to 1 year for free. It's called Asana as an example, right? That means there's a lot of other tools like that. Asana is one example. You can get that for free. So if you're looking to cut costs, I find that I spend so much on technology products, and I had to find a way to reduce that. So the way to get this is to have a profile. So if you're a teacher or you're a school, have a profile on things like FS6. It's a founders platform, and they give a lot of perks. It's not just project management. There's tools for wireframing, even Canva Premium. You can get Canva Premium free for 3 months, which you don't have to pay for that period. And you can get emails free. So if you have a school, another free tip. This is maybe another $100. I keep using dollars so you see what it is. There's Founders Hub for Microsoft. Founders Hub for Microsoft. So Founders Hub for Microsoft, you can get free email for 1 year straight. If you are not registered, they give you $1,000. If you're registered, you get $5,000 worth of credits, which means you can have emails for all your people. You don't have to pay for hosting for the next 2 years or something like that. You don't have to pay for web hosting because they also have access to web hosting. You get access to LinkedIn Premium. I'm sharing this to say that there are ways to cut costs, right? As an example. Founders Hub, you just need a LinkedIn profile. When you have a LinkedIn profile, you can apply. And if you're looking for tips of how to apply, I'm sure organizers, KK, and the rest will find a way to get that to me. I can help you out with that because I just feel like there are ways to get things for free to reduce your cost. And if there are also like training or teacher platforms, I'm telling you that there will be different ways to get those things for free. You want to host courses online, so many platforms that you can get for free. Also, stay on target. Revisit budgets monthly, quarterly, compare actual plans, adjust as required. At this point, I'd like to know if there's a specific budget problems you're facing and you would need some clarity on before we continue. Like, is that script or script? Just to be sure. Somebody said, what about script? I don't think I'm familiar with script. But yeah, I'm sure you can get some of that. Audible, you can get Audible for free. There's this tricks to this. It's not, and they're legal tricks. Someone's raising their hands. There are legal tricks to it. There's nothing illegal you're doing. Script. Oh yeah, you can get script for free. I'll have to check on. I think it's on FS6. It's in one of those. You can get for free. A reading platform. Yeah, but I have a lot of other reading platforms that I know you can access for free. It's just text for startups and founders. They found a way to say, let's support founders and let's give them perks. So at least give them that starting place to when they're able to make money. So those are things you can get. Funding platforms is a lot. AWS, Amazon Web Services will give you access to, if you say you want to do something for your school, for instance, that's something you can get. They give you $5,000 grants, not cash, but to build stuff, but eventually translates into cash. Because we're talking money, I didn't want it to just be about just talking about budget without giving actual tools. If you want that as well, feel free to reach out. Okay, someone's raised their hand. If you have questions on budget specific things.
Yes, Elizabeth, you had your hand up. You can go ahead, please. Sorry. Mrs. Ekore. Okay, yes, it was Mrs. Ekore. Cool. Please go ahead. You can unmute. Please unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I am having a particular problem of budgeting in my school. In a situation where you want to budget on the number of books to buy, like now we're about to enter first term. Now that fear of how many children that will be coming back, how many that will leave, based on the number you have already. Now, I want to know, is it better to make over budgeting or to make under budgeting? I don't know if you got my question.
I get it. I got a question.
Do we now budget based on the number of children we have, irrespective of how many of them that will leave? Or do we now budget, or maybe removing, or I don't know, because there is that problem of how many do we have, how many is coming, how many is going, you know, that is a confusion. It's causing a lot of confusion. Sometimes when you over budget, you find out that the books are there. Sometimes if you do the under budgeting, you find out that it's not enough, something like that. So I want you to give me some kind of advice on what to do. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So my answer to the question is get all the data of all the different years, and then use tools like, I mean, I'm sure we're all familiar with ChatGPT and Claude, right? But I'm a big believer in Claude. Just type in Claude if you don't know Claude. There's ChatGPT as well. So take the data that you have, so for the different years in terms of books that you bought and the fear that you have, and just drop it. It does all the calculations for you. You don't have to do this. So the thing is, I believe AI is an enhancer. It enhances what you have, right? You can even tell it to draw a graph or present it a certain way, and that can happen. Or put it in a table. So ChatGPT can actually draw a table. There's also Claude. Someone said it's called Claude. I just type it. So it's either ChatGPT or Claude. But I find Claude to be better when it comes to things like this, because if you check online and reviews, I'm surprised not a lot of people like to use it. I mean, know to use it, right? But they do an amazing job compared to ChatGPT in terms of calculations and stuff. So my suggestion is take the data, so treat it as an extra staff that you have, and it's just your data analyst. So treat this AI as your extra staff and say, here's the data for year 1, year 2, year 3. These are the books we bought, and because of that, this happened. Because what do you suggest we should buy for the coming year, right? So in the past, you would have to put it in a data analytic tool to do all those performance. But today, you don't even need to do all that stress. You can just put that data in a tool like, yeah, that's true. If you use VPN, you're fine. If you have VPN, if you're not. But I think with VPN, you can, and there are lots of free VPN tools if you're using Android or iPhone. Because I feel like nothing should limit us. You see, I never believe in. It's like me and Netflix. I use VPN because I don't want to not use Netflix USA because they're saying that I can't get to access some things. Like, yeah, VPN does the magic. Trust me. I use Nord, and you can get Nord VPN for 1 year on AppSumo for $69. That's the cheapest you get, like the entire year, and you can have 5 people on it. So you can even contribute and get 5 people to say, hey, how can we contribute and do? And Nord is like really good. It's one of the best. So you can do that. Yeah. Yep, not VPN. That's what I used. I used to use Express, but it was so expensive. So that's what I think. If that answers the question, is put it on Claude or ChatGPT. ChatGPT 3 is, I prefer ChatGPT 4, but that's $20 when you can get it for free on Claude. You see, that's why I'm not, because I would have told you pay for that, and but you don't need that. If you use Claude with VPN, if not, then Bing is your next. You're using Bing chats, which has when you're looking to answer the time, Bing can even draw a logo for your school for you and things like that. It's surprisingly, it's not on the slides, but I can share that for you because I didn't even think this conversation would go this way. Also for books, there are places where you can get books for free. Where it's like these are the kind of books you're looking to get. And I feel like schools forget that there are grants for different things as well. A school in Ghana called Ashesi, they do everything through grants, right? Literally everything they get is from grants. And so they have an office somewhere else in the US where they actually get a lot of money from from grants. Okay, let's move on. So the thing is, we've been talking a lot about budgeting in schools, but I want to bring it down to personal budgeting for teachers, right? For teachers. Because I find that a lot of teachers struggle. So you find schools that are doing really well, but their teachers are not even doing well. And they expect quality from the school, right? So my question is, would you want to share your experience on how would you implement for your personal budgeting? How do you implement a good budget process training? If you would like to share your experience, please raise your hand because I know teachers really struggle. You find a really good school, sometimes even international school, but some of the teachers are suffering. So please feel free to share your experience either by raising your hand or by typing in the chat. Anyone?
Remember, you can use the raise hand function to signify that you want to respond, and I'll just ask you to unmute, give you permission to unmute. Okay, Ziba just said, I only budget for the recurring expenses.
Okay. Can you explain, Ziba? Like, how do you do that?
Yes, Ziba, can you unmute so you just explain?
Okay, so I have this spreadsheet that I've been using for many years, and each month I just basically write how much I want to budget for food, provisions, petrol, children's maybe like music classes, that sort of thing. Those things that I know I absolutely must pay for monthly. Power, and I look at the previous month's expenses and I'm like, okay, this is what we and I always have a budget and actual columns separate. So I just roll the actuals into the next month's budget, depending on our family realities. And then unfortunately, once I've finished budgeting for those recurring ones, the remaining one just disappears.
Do you think we should stick to budget or budgets? Sometimes you just forget there's a budget. So I'm asking on the spot.
I think I stick to the budget largely, especially for food and diesel and that sort of stuff. That's why I admitted to saying just the recurring stuff. But for other things, I don't even have a budget for like charity, but I end up giving now, money and things like that. So yeah, why I stick to the things that I know we absolutely need. For any other thing, I just spend.
Thanks for sharing that. That's really good. Anybody else? How would you implement?
Yes, Temi talk by Oni. Yes, you can. respond now.
Okay, hello, good afternoon. Okay, like what I do not all the time, but what I do is like budget when you budget, I try to like buy like in bulk, maybe like food stuff to buy it in bulk, and I know that okay, when I'm buying, I'm budgeting for the first 3 months, that's of the term. So if you are entering first term, I'll just do shopping for what I think, for what I know I will need for the first 3 terms, for the first 3 months. Then like electricity, because it's a pay as you go. So I just like, okay, in this month, okay, I'm not going to buy more than maybe 10,000 worth of electricity. So those are some of the things. And I know that when it comes to the gas, that's for cooking. I know that, okay, I'm just also like going to like, this is what I tend to do, because I also like to do more of healthy living. So I know I'm not buying food from outside. If I'm going to buy, it will just be for a treat, and that one doesn't come often. So those are some of the ways that I do my budgeting, but I know that I can still do more, and how can I earn more? So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else? No. Okay. Awesome. I like what I'm hearing, right? And one of the things we started out with talking about cash flow, right? Before we get to budget. And cash flow literally is money coming in and money going out. And the quality of money coming in determines the quality of your budgeting eventually, right? Because then you see that there's a lot of money coming in and then you can budget. What I find is that we're trapped in, I don't know about you, but I want to I believe in living a full life, which means that what that means for me, I know that is that my budget this year cannot be the same as my budget next year, right? Because yes, I'm budgeting, but I don't want to be trapped in living economical so badly that I'm not enjoying life, right? So your quality of your cash in really matters. And for teachers, so this is not just for schools, this is for teachers, right? So I may be biased because I think a school grows based on the quality of the people that they have in the school, which is the same for any kind of business. Like if you don't have good teachers or have good staff members, you probably wouldn't have a good school. And so if you have a good teacher that has multiple streams of income, right? Multiple streams of income. One way to have multiple streams is to think about the fact that as a teacher, you're a conduit of content, right? So you are not just teaching in a school. How can you take that knowledge that you are learning in school, the knowledge you're passing in school, how can you transfer that into a product that anybody can buy? What I mean is, for instance, let's say you did a talk on, actually, it'd be nice to hear some people, maybe just type it, some teachers, so excuse me, you can share what you teach, and I can kind of give you examples of how that turns into multiple streams. Or if you already have some multiple streams, that'll be great. But there's something you can type in the chat, or maybe you can say like, if you're a teacher, what content are you passing across, or what do you teach? And if you're already doing multiple streams, you can share that as well. If not, just type, here's what I teach, and I can kind of give you how can you translate that into multiple streams so that you increase the quality of your budget. Does that make any sense? Anybody? Awesome. Someone teach mathematics. So if you teach maths, right? You can take your lesson. So for instance, let's say in the class, you taught that you've done your lesson notes, right? You've done your lesson notes and you've stated, here is what I want to teach about, blah, blah, blah. You can take that lesson notes and turn it into a blog. And I know a lot of blogs that pay. Medium, I don't have time, but Medium pays. I mean, I don't share this out there anywhere, but Medium, the minimum I made for Medium is $500 by just writing what I like to do. Like I'm excited to write, right? So I see myself as not just a consultant or a coach. Because I have content, I can spread that content. Please spell Medium. You actually just did spell it. That's interesting. And Medium is not yet in Africa, but they're coming in December. They're coming in December. So it's they used to be just in the West. Why can't I just type it? Oh, okay. Everyone. So Medium, you just spelled it actually. Just want to be sure. Yeah. And there are a lot of other platforms. This is just an example, right? Of sharing what you know. And I'm sure right now you know that Twitter X is also becoming a tool that people are using. Yes, it will take a while to drive traffic and get, but it's the same as everything else, right? To get those kind of traction. I tell you that building a platform could be hard. Like deciding that I know someone right here in Africa, like here in Ghana, cashed out $540 in 10 days by just consistently posting content on Twitter. Okay, so I see yourself as a, I'm spending a lot of time on this and we might not be able to go through all the slides, but so that we can have real good question and answer in 5 minutes, as I've been told. But think of yourself as cash in. So don't be stuck in budgets, right? What am I supposed to spell? I'm not sure. Someone says, please. Yeah, I'm not sure. So cash in determines the quality of cash out. And a business does not succeed if they don't have cash in. So it's not even about budgeting anymore. Budgeting is great and you should do it. But cash in, and if you don't have cash in, so and for schools, please don't underestimate the power of grants. And don't underestimate that there's a lot of grants that are willing to give money to schools. My opinion. Don't underestimate that. It is as long as your school has impact and you're making some impact, do not underestimate how much. I mean, just even think about organizations that will be willing to just give their free time to school. It might look like it's a hard work, but trust me, just having cash um, in different ways makes sense. We might not be able to go through this case study, but I'll just run through it because of time. So let's say a school has 500 students enrolled and they have 30 teachers and their budget is $2 million, right? What we know is that enrollment will increase by 5% based on the data, right, that they have. The roof needs unexpected repairs estimated at this. Teachers union contract requires a 3% raise for all staff. So this is just looking at what do you know for the next year that will happen, right? So this kind of like giving you a framework. The school wants to buy new science curricula aligned to state standards. The district is increasing goals by 5%. So that's the facts we know. Now, how would using show me the money, like show me the money, basically thinking what are the estimated revenues and expenses? But we started with understanding what we know would happen next year, right? So we are first thinking, what do we think would happen next year? And then we look at unexpected expenses beyond the roof repairs. What can Otedala learn from the last year's budget to follow the money trail, right? So literally, you're looking at what did we do last year, and this year, what can we learn from that to make sure that this year is better? Also, when and how should we stay on target and review budget next year? How can Otedala ensure sticking to the list for day-to-day spending? What long-term considerations should Otedala consider in their budget? I'll share the slide with you so you can see. Here is kind of like an answer that I've given. So when I share the slides, you see, right? And if you look at this list, the biggest, it's not just revenues that they get, but also grants that they can get. And I feel like for grants, I don't know how many people get grants. And don't look at just grants from your country. I've raised more money from America sitting in Ghana than I've raised from Ghana, right? Because they just understand and it's easier to understand how that works, right? It's easier to understand. And if you have something called a 501c3, it's easy to get, right? It's some investment, but once you have a 501c3 in the US, everybody will give you money because 501c3 means that if I give you money, I will not be taxed for it. So the US government has provided, so if you have an organization that has a 501c3, you will never, so people will give you things like free laptops, free books, free this, cash prices and stuff like that because they know that they will not be taxed for it, right? We can't go through all of this, but think about what challenges faced by schools and teachers to manage and allocate funds. Think about the challenges. Yeah, it's basically it's profits that you can get from sitting in Nigeria. So you don't have to be in Nigeria in America to get it. You can sit in Nigeria and get a 501c3, and you have access to a lot of grants opportunities in America. So I tell people, you can be in Nigeria and you have registered entities in America, and it doesn't cost that much. And you can have access to everything from Stripe to like literally have access to everything, PayPal, everything by having an entity sitting. Why should you limit yourself? You can sell books, sell whatever you like outside. Why should where you are limit how much you can make? Is what I kind of end with. And final point is to use your mindset. How a mindset will influence your financial decision. At the end of the day, understand your biases, understand your mindset. It will make or break your cash flow. Because the moment you understand that you can make money by thinking about your finances differently, it will change entirely how you think about your budget. Like I've been told this time for question and answer, so please feel free to ask any questions. If you need clarity on something, please feel free to ask it.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been a fun time. If you have any questions, it's open now to ask questions. You can either raise your hands and I'll ask you to unmute, or you could just type it in the chat box. Okay, so let's keep the questions. Let's rule the questions out. Thank you so much, Edison Ade. Okay, great. Accolade House, I see you. You can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, hi. Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to ask if you consult for individuals and organizations, if we could reach out to you to just continue on conversation from here.
Yes, I do. I definitely. That's what I derive value doing. That's what makes me excited. Is to just share
Okay.
some of the things I've learned. Yeah.
All right, no problem. Thank you. That's it.
Okay. Ziba wants to know, she says, do you support schools with getting grants?
Well, I support businesses and schools is part of it, right? So I support businesses generally with how to access funding, which includes grants. So yes.
Awesome. Grace Akolgu says, you talked about apps or an app that pays for your content. Please kindly type them out. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
the first one is Medium. They are not yet, but they mentioned Nigeria. Right now it's only accessible to a few countries, but right now they are coming to Nigeria by before December. So be on the lookout. I'm also building a platform. It's almost done. It's like Medium, so it's going to be a combination of Twitter and blogging platforms, and we will also be paid for writing. And so it's an entire web platform we built. It's not out yet, but we're launching in December as well. I can't share the link to that because we're not ready to go live yet. But the idea for me was Africans don't build platforms to support creators, and I am passionate about doing that. So yeah, and feel free to reach out as well. I can share your personal link just to look at it if you want to look at it, but I can't share it in the public because it's not out yet.
Yes, really cool. Really cool. Chai Davis says, what did you say about grants to schools? 501 what?
So it's called a 501c3. I kind of typed it in the chat if you check. It's called 501c3. It's a status you get in America. So some people in Nigeria know this and they are doing it, but they will never share. But I'm telling you, there are some people that I know in Ghana and Nigeria that they use this platform. They know that if you get a status, they can get access to grants. And I'm just sharing with you as well that once you get that status, it's not easy to get, but you can get it. By sitting in Nigeria, you don't have to travel outside. You would also make sure you can get an American bank account, and which is seated in America. And people don't trust. One quick tip is that people don't trust investing in Africa because you don't have tax haven opportunities, right? If you want any real investor to give you 10 million, 100 million, it's possible. It's a mindset. If you want to get 10 million, 100 million, they will never really put it in a bank account like sitting in Nigeria, right? So you need to start thinking, how do I, if I want to get to that place, where do I need to invest? I have a bank account. So in Africa, it's Mauritius. Mauritius is where they have tax haven. In America, it is either Dallas, Texas, or Delaware. And you can do it from sitting in Nigeria because they don't trust giving their money. Because think about it, why would I give $10 million to a Nigerian bank account when I'm not sure who it is? But if I know that this same person has a bank account in a regulated country where I'm based, I can give you money. It's as simple as that.
Amazing. Please, let's keep the questions coming. Hands up. Okay, someone says, Temitope Oni says, how does one get an account in the USA? I'm not.
That's a very easy question. So if you do FS6, they give you a discount to open a registered business in America. I don't know why I'm supporting this people. They don't even give me any money. Like I don't. Anyways, um, you get half price. They do it for $500, but they do the registration for you for $200 and so dollars, and you get American registration is in less than 1 month and less than a week even. You get a registered business in America, and because of that, you open an account in a place like Mercury. Let me write it down. So I use Mercury. That's the one I really trust. Mercury will open an account with your Nigerian passport and everything. You don't even need to, but it's a global bank, right? It's been for startups and businesses in America. So I just typed out Mercury. Yep. So I
Sorry,
use Mercury.
you typed it to me directly. So yes, I've
Oh, sorry.
replied. Yes, good.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. So it's Mercury. That's where you can get a bank account. That's one of the places you can get a bank account, which means that things like foreign transactions and stuff like, and there's a lot of regulations in Nigeria and stuff, and sometimes they just change their mind anyhow, and it affects your business. I know this talk is not for things like that, but when looking at cash flow, there's a lot of interference from government and other things that will affect you if you don't protect yourself well.
Okay. Temitope is also asking if it is personal or for schools.
You would have to register. It can be both, but you have to register a company. So which means if you're registering a company, you have to register as a company. But you can register as one-man company or two-man. It's up to you. So I don't know how to answer that question, but if you want to open a bank account, you must have a registered business for that to happen.
Or you can connect with Edison, and he would then, Edison is nice. He will give you a discount because you're from school. Because you're from school reward conference, Edison will give you a sweet discount. Talk with him, and he can actually set things up with you. He won't do it for you, but he will teach you how to do it. And that is something that you can then take control of should you want to do something else later. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice to hear your voice again. Yeah, Mercury is a financial institution. You can check online. Not everything is online, right? So Mercury is a bank. It's actually one of the biggest banks that support startups, right? Not startups, but any and it's insured. So it means that if your money is insured up to 5 million, so that if anything happens in the financial industry, as long as it's less than $5 million, you get your money back, right? So there's insurance on the money, so that you're safe. Because if you don't have an FDIC, it's called FDIC in America, so it's financial. I can't remember the full thing, but it's to make sure that your money is secure, and it's very important to have that.
Yes, he's very kind. He's very kind. Of course, we can reach out to him after. And
I'm his manager. Just saying it.
Yes,
right.
Guys, you get the best out of Edison when you ask him questions, right? Then Edison just goes. He just flows. Yeah, all his juices just starts flying in and out of Edison. That's the best way to get Edison. Asking him questions.
And it's kicking, right? And this is my first actual talk in a while. And it was kicking, and I said, nah, I need to do this. So.
Yeah. I think we have space for one last lucky question. And so if you just type it fast or raise your hand real fast so you can You can unmute and ask it. But of course, if you still have any questions beyond now, feel free to type it in the WhatsApp group and it will be attended to.
So we can share Edison's Instagram. He's Buzz Edison. I think I just know him as Edison. So I'm not sure if he's Buzz Edison on Instagram. We can share it in the WhatsApp group. Actually, I'll just get it from my UT has all of them. And if you go on the website, schoolrewire.com, all of the speakers, all of their Instagram, all of their LinkedIn has actually been connected to their profiles. Go to 2023 speakers. Once you click on it, you can connect with the speakers off the Instagram. BudEdison.ma. Okay, yeah, that's his.
So
They were
everything is
asking for your
there.
Instagram.
Yeah, it's right
Your
there. So if
socials
you go
are
on
on
that
there.
link,
Okay.
everything's on there. It's just a link.
Okay. All right. Wow. Fantastic. Guys, in the WhatsApp group, if you want Edison to go deeper on any sessions, let us know. Of course, the payment and pricing will be different, but we can always talk to him and bring him back. Yes? Okay. Let me head out to the main room and go and welcome people back.
Thank you so very much, Edison. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you too.
Thank you. This has been mind-opening. Sorry, guys, about the audio. It was quite...
Yeah, sorry about that. That's all right.
I mean, there was a little bit of an echo, but it was quite edible. And I'm sorry, let's say edible. Am I hungry? It was quite audible. and yes, so sorry that it wasn't quite fair on your end, but it has been a great time. Yes. And it was very generous with all the information, so much value. Thank you so much, Edison.
Thank you.
To be honest, of this kind of conference where we're not hiding the knowledge. In room one, it was all about your cash flow. It was all about